Welcome back to Developing a Trend Following Strategy, Episode 5. So, you've seen the thumbnail. I think I've done it. I've really honed in on the dozens and columns, and I think I've got it as good as I can possibly get it, or at least 99% of the way there. And it is very, very good. So, let's talk about it a little bit. I've actually made a good deal of changes since the last time, and it's since it's so good, I'm not going to give the intricate details of how it's working, but I am going to give a general overview. Um, I've just spent too many hours on this to give all the secret sauce away, but I'm going to give you enough. Um, Starting off, actually, first off, I want to say, let's actually go over here. So you can see here, I've got the play dashboard set up, and I was actually playing a little bit earlier. Um, so what I've learned. Actually, let me pause the video and put some data in here real quick. It'll make it easier to explain. Okay, I got some spins loaded up in here now, so it's going to be easier to talk about it. Okay, so what I have resorted to tracking is okay. So these two charts here, graphs here, are the same ones you've seen in the past. So they're just illustrating the performance of each of the dozens here and each of the columns here. So it's basically saying, assuming you flat betted each one, this is what the outcome looks like. So it's just an easy way to spot which one's trending. So you can see here, dozen three was crushing it, for example. So the metric I've gotten down to tracking, and I found it seems to be working the best. I've gone through many at this point, is tracking the distance between which one's performing the best, in this case, dozen three, and the least, in this case, dozen one. And it's tracking the gap between the two. With the theory being that if this gap is widening as it is here, then that's a decently strong trend. So that's what these two charts here are. So here, this blue line you see is the gap between, again, the top here and the bottom here. So that's the gap. Now, what are these other three straight lines? So the orange one, the one at the bottom, is basically the minimum. It's what I've been calling the trend filter. So it's the minimum trend filter. If it's below there, don't want to play. Right now, what the other two are is they're basically, if you've done any trading or been around the stock world or anything like that, you've heard you're familiar with the concept of a trailing stop, and that's basically what these are. So what they're trying to prevent is, let's say you start out, in this case you're playing dozen three, and it gets extremely hot and it jumps way up here. Well, if this is my trend and my stop, my stop loss, I don't want to see all those gains you know, I don't want to see all the gains get wiped out, because I'm not going to stop until it gets all the way back down here. So what these are saying is basically, if it's hot enough, if it's hot and it's over the gray line, then that's my take profit stop loss. If it's hot enough to be over this yellowish line, then that becomes my stop loss. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, what this is trying to prevent is a dozen or a column coming out really hot. You're doing really well, and then you need to take the profit. You don't want to wait till it comes all the way back down here, because you could have lost 10, 20, 30 units. So that's what those are for. And it's pretty much that simple. There are a few other fine minutia type details that I've got programmed in that I've just figured out makes it best, just from, at this point, I've looked at so many thousand spins and so many hours. It's kind of ridiculous, but I figured out how to optimize it in a few different ways. But that's the gist of it, what I just explained. Now, the way it's set up, it's very similar to, if you're familiar with playing poker, right? So it's going to take basically, and I've said this before too, we're looking to only try and play a really strong trend, something that looks like this, right? If it doesn't look like this, then we just don't want to play. That's the whole idea behind this trend following system, right? So what I've got it set up to do is to look for certain parameters, and the second any of those parameters are violated, we stop playing. So what that if I have time, I'll live play a couple rounds so you can sort of see what I'm saying. But basically, it means you're going to take a lot of small losses, just like you do in poker. So it's going to start out. Maybe it looks like it could keep doing this, and then it's going to stop, and you're going to stop. So you're going to take small loss, small loss, small loss, small loss, and then the stars are going to align, and that's when you hit it hard. So it has that kind of a style of play. So if you think about it, if that's the reality, then you can pretty much figure out which type of progression is going to work the best. You don't want any negative progression. Only a positive progression is going to work well in something like that because whenever you're going to take a lot of losses in a row um, until you hit a sweet spot. So when you're taking those losses, you don't want to be increasing the size of them. You want something like paroli. So when you get on a loss streak, you're only taking one loss each time. Um, So that's the gist of how it works. Let me bump over to this test I did earlier today. So this is roughly, I think, 750 outcomes, 750 bets. Yeah, actually 742 bets. As you can see, it's done really well. This is the flat bet performance. So this is how well it did. Oh, and by the way, this is dozens only. Excuse me. This test I only tested the dozens, so I wasn't playing both dozens and columns. And this is the outcome with a flat bet, uh, which is pretty pretty good. I think you would agree. And you see the volatility in it. That's because it operates the way in which I was explaining, to where it's like you take losses, you take small losses, and then boom, you finally hit the sweet spot, and you hit it hard. So that's why you see a lot of big jumps, um, because that's just how it's set up to work. To just, again, beating a dead horse here, but the poker analogy, you just take the losses, take the losses, take the losses. Stars align, you hit it hard. So, like I said, based on that understanding, you would expect to see, the positive progressions being the best performing ones. And as it stands for this one, Paroli's the best with a 3.77 Romad. Um, so what Paroli is basically, it's a kind of a reverse martingale, but you have a stopping point. So this one is on a win streak, you would go one, you would double up to eight. I can change this, but it seems like eight works the best. So on a win streak, you're going to get one, two, four, and 8 units, and then start over if the winning streak goes longer than that. And then for losses, you're just going to be, if you lose, you go straight back down to one. So if you get a big losing streak, you're just going to be taking 1 unit of loss each time. This one, which also did pretty good, is very similar, except the winning positive progression goes 1, 3, 2, 4, 8. Um, you can see it performed pretty similar, but not quite as good. Let's move the chart over here so we can see. So this is what the equity profit loss curve of the Paroli 1, 2, 4, 8 look like. That's pretty sweet. You can see if I move it to 16. So when I make this to 16, it's saying you're going 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. So it's pretty similar. A little bit lower Romad. But you could do either one, but 8 works the best, so I'll stick with 8. Let's see. What is it? 1, 3, 2, 4. It's pretty similar. Um, see, what else do I want to show? This one called the D-Ants actually did okay. Not as good as Paroli, but pretty good as well. And obviously, just flat betting it, pretty darn good. So as you can see, I'm pretty excited about how this has turned out. Also, I'm glad to be pretty much finished with it because I've just spent so much time tweaking it and trying new things, and then that failing and changing it again and tweaking. And just a long process. But I do think I got something pretty good. So, like I said, this is only 740 spins. The way this is set up to be just short term, I can't just do a blanket 50,000 spin test. It's very difficult. So it's going to take me, it takes a long time to do the testing. But I plan on the next video being hopefully a 50,000 spin test on this. But that's going to take me some time to get together, unless I can figure out a way to test it faster. But we'll see. But I plan on that being my next video, and then we'll see how that does. And based on what I've seen so far in my testing, I think it's going to be pretty good. So look forward to that. Hopefully, I mean, I may just get tired of doing the testing and come out with something a little bit less than 50,000, but that is my goal. To end the video, I'm just gonna do some sample like play real quick, just so you can sort of see how it operates, and just it's not what I would call a fun system to play. It's more like a job, but it's obviously really good, as you can see. So let me set it up just to illustrate, and then I'll let you go. Okay, let's get it started. So first, let's enter in the last 5 spins or so. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 9, 13, 10, 35. Okay, so you can see it's telling me to stop on both. So whenever it tells me to stop, I just delete, start over from the top, delete, start over from the top, and then keep spinning. 6. You'll see why in a minute. I have 2 separate input columns because I'm treating them completely separately. It'll make sense in a minute. E36s in a row. Wow. Okay, so columns tell me to stop, so I'll start over. But the dozens is telling me to play on dozen 3. I'm going to use $10 units here. So I'm going to do the Paroli 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, 12. Okay, so it's telling me to stop. So see, it was set up like it could have, could start taking off like a good trender, but the second it violates the parameters, it tells me to stop, and that's it. So that's what I mean by we're going to take a lot of little small losses like that, little 1 unit losses. Okay, so back to the drawing board. I was at 6256 to start. Let me just remember that. I don't know how long I'm going to play, but in case I need to remember that. Okay. Okay, we got to stop over here. Start over. Stop here. Okay, we got to stop. Okay, playing on the third dozen now again. 10. Whoops, 10 on third dozen. Did not get it. And we'll stop. Pick another small loss. We'll start over. Clear that off. Okay, missed it, but I was supposed to go ahead and stop. Got the stop signal, so we start over here. Okay, once again, we're on the third dozen. Missed it again. Okay, stop. Okay, we got a play on the first dozen. All right, I've got a hit there. Okay, so we're doing Pirelli. Remember, 1, 2, 4, 8. So we'll double it up. 2, and we got another hit. Okay, now we're gonna go to 4 units. Double again. Ah, I didn't get the 4. It's okay. Still playing on 1, so we're gonna drop down back to 1 unit. Okay, we didn't get it. Still there. That one. We're gonna double 2 units. Put it again. Double again to 4 units. Put it again. All right, double one more time to 8. Let's hope we get this one. And we didn't. All right. Keep going. Finish this streak out and then we'll end it because I think that's enough for you to get the gist of it. So we're still playing on the 1 though, so we'll drop back down to 1 unit. Didn't get it. Okay, we're still there. 1 unit. Got it. Double up to 2. Okay, back down to 1. Again. Okay, staying at 1 unit and missed it again. Okay, now it's over. All right, so I think we made like 1 unit, but that was enough to sort of give you the gist of it. That's how it works. Again, you're going to take small loss, small loss, small loss, small loss, small loss until the trend aligns just right. And then, all it takes is one full cycle of the 1, 2, 4, 8, and, you got a nice little gain. Um, so that's how it works. Like I said, goal is for the next video to be a 50,000 spin test, and hopefully I can get there. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If so, leave me a comment. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.